So I've decided to start this test in town because I think this car really shines in an urban environment. So this particular model is an A4 front track with the Multitronic CVT transmission. So that means two things. One, it's front wheel drive. For some reason, a lot of people don't realize that most Audis sold worldwide are indeed front wheel drive models. Additionally, Multitronic CVT means that this car has a CVT transmission. It's not like a conventional automatic gearbox because it has no gears. Instead, it has a sort of belt and pulley system. And what that allows for is a very seamless transition through the ratios. This car has 8 ratios and you can't feel it shift because it has a CVT. And the cool part about that is it gives you the impression of having a much larger, torquier engine. The revs, they stay at a constant rate whenever you press the throttle, so the car just feels like it wafts along. Now, this effect is only muted slightly by the fact that this vehicle is turbocharged. So when you do hit boost, the car gets a sort of surging feel rather than that wafting feel, and that kind of gives away the fact that this is a small 4-cylinder turbo engine. But it doesn't feel underpowered. It just has that surging feel, which some people do like, but typically in a luxury car, that detracts slightly from the experience. Now, another trick this car has up its sleeve is it has a variable weight steering rack. Now, what that means is at low speeds like we're doing now, just trundling through town, the steering is noticeably lighter. So this is nice whenever you're trying to park or cruising through town, obviously. But whenever you're at higher speeds, on back roads and such, the steering really weights up nicely. That said, this is still a hydraulically assisted power steering system. Audi only did away with this system in 2013 when they facelifted this model and completely switched to electric. Now at this point, it's probably worth noting the interior quality of this car. Audi did a superb job. The plastics are all of a very high quality, everything feels top-notch, the leather is very nice, and it really feels like a quality product. This car has 90,000 miles on it, and there aren't any squeaks or rattles. Everything feels tight as a drum. Compared to the competition, this car feels noticeably better than an E90 BMW 3 Series, and it feels about on par, if not a tinge nicer, than a W204 Mercedes-Benz C-Class. So we all know how well Quattro Audis handle, but what about a front-wheel drive? Now, I'm happy to report that it still handles fairly well, despite the back wheels just tagging along for the ride. Yes, the engine is hanging quite far forward over the front axle, but the car still feels pretty well balanced. Now, this model here is a standard model with the standard comfort suspension. It's not an S-Line, and to be honest, it doesn't really inspire you to drive that quickly. But the steering is extremely accurate. It has a reasonable amount of feel for an Audi, certainly more than the cars with the electrical power steering have, but it's not anywhere near what an E90 BMW would offer you. Outside of that, there's a pretty decent amount of grip at the front end. You can drive this car pretty briskly and still feel confident in the vehicle's performance.
The engine is a 2-liter turbocharged inline-4, producing 211 horsepower and a staggering 258 foot-pounds of torque. It's efficient, effective, and quite tunable, if you're into that sort of thing. All in all, the B8 Audi A4 has an impressive breadth of ability. From comfortable city roundabout to spirited sports sedan, it's a jack of all trades. While you do just fine to get yourself a front-wheel drive model as shown, my recommendation would still be to find a Quattro example, as prices in the used market aren't much different.